Welcome back to another session with your boy Cephus Harris. Listen, before we get started, make sure that you go to my YouTube channel and subscribe and hit the notification bell so that you'll be notified when we're posting new content. And follow me on all of my social media outlets. And also, too, don't forget to check out my book, A Path to Manhood, This Boy's Journey, Transforming Trauma. With this particular book, it's a great gift for the youth and inspiring parents and current parents as well. We don't have all the answers, but I wanted to share my story, and this book has been a tremendous help to a lot of people already. And so make sure that you go check it out, and I hope you enjoy the read. It's a real short read. It's a chat book, and I did it that way by design. So it's a really easy read. So make sure that you go check it out on Amazon, okay? All right, enough of that. So we got some news, right? It's a lot. Stuff that's blowing up the media right now. First things first.
You know, for those of us that don't know what happened, take a look at this.
Chauncey Billups, who's been in the headlines as of late, along with Terry Rozier and Damon Jones, former NBA player. Terry Rozier is currently actually in the NBA, and Chauncey Billups is the head coach for the Portland Trail Blazers, and formerly was a player with the Detroit Pistons. In fact, they won the championship some time ago. And so we all know who Chauncey Billups is, right? But unfortunately, he got caught up in some sort of gambling scheme or whatnot, allegedly. With Chauncey, it seems like he's in two situations. One of the situations where he was involved with a mob. That's what they're referring to it. That's in the headlines or whatnot. But they're referring to it as a mob. I've heard some say a mafia or whatnot. But basically, he was running illegal poker games, right? And basically, in that instance, they were working together and cheating a lot of people, and they got away with tens of millions of dollars. And so I've heard news reports that it was a situation where they were fixing the shuffle deck some way, somehow, or whatnot. And there was a way that they knew what cards were being played and things of that nature. So, but they got away with a lot of money. And then on the other hand, with Terry Rozier and Damon Jones, but Chauncey, they're not really tying him to that just yet, allegedly. But he actually fits the description. And so what it was is that they were giving out NBA information before games as to who was going to play, what athlete was going to play, right? Or be available to play, which ultimately affects the betting. I'm talking about high profile players.
But the NBA knew that they had an issue with this. They already knew. And so they knew that they needed to gain ground with this and come up with a better process, because the information was being leaked from the insiders. So basically, the public knew about inside information as it pertained to the NBA. And so that's the issue. And then that would ultimately affect the outcome of the bets, right? And so we live in a time frame where now you can bet on the games. And so by doing so, people have an opportunity to make money. And so this is a way that they were capitalizing. Now, here is the thing. Now, it is always a sad thing when you're hearing information, people making the headlines and whatnot. But that's just the climate that we're in today, and no judgment zone here, because truth be told, there was a reason why Stevie Wonder wrote the song "Skeletons in the Closet," because we all got them. we all got them. Point me out to a perfect person. I don't think you'll be able to do that. And so, which is why, I'm not so quick to cast judgment. But however, as human beings, we should strive to not put ourselves in certain situations. And, and that's the crazy thing about life, because you could basically be, I don't want to say perfect, but you could have a good reputation all the way up to a certain point, and then one mistake can just, ruin you that quick. So it's very unfortunate for those that are involved, especially, Chauncey Billups. When the FBI gets involved, they have information on you, because the FBI are those guys. They watch you until they gain enough evidence on you to be able to, because when they move in the direction of taking you down, they want it to be super obvious, right? And so that's the situation. But the reality of it is, though, is that they are not the only ones, right? They're not the only ones. They are the ones that got caught. You got to look at the bigger picture. And so, look at you look at the whole Jeff Epstein situation. We got R. Kelly and P. Diddy. They just got locked up, right, for doing what they did or whatnot. But the reality of it is that that was a learned behavior, right? And so, and we learned that when Jeff Epstein and when all that stuff started happening, right? Look at all the people that were involved with that. And so, so the thing is that, and it goes back further than him. So R. Kelly and P. Diddy, they had to learn it from someplace, right? They learned it from somewhere. That didn't just happen. It wasn't new, right? This is stuff that has been going on from time after time over time. This information, these practices, they happen all the time, but not everybody get caught. Look at the referee, Donahue, his situation, right? He was fixing the games based upon how he was calling the games. But guess what? He wasn't the only one. He wasn't the only one. And I believe, too, that he was involved with, quote unquote, mafia as well, allegedly, but I think it was proven that that was the situation with him. And so yeah, and I'm noticing that common theme, and so I don't know, it make me think of the mafia. It make me think of, the movie Bronx Tale. That's a great movie when Colonial, he was running the numbers or whatnot for the bets and stuff like that. But those are some powerful people. And so, those are some powerful people. And, but this stuff has been happening for a very, very long time. And so, but these guys got caught doing it. And it's unfortunate, that they have to go down, that they have to go down for this. Gilbert Arenas was involved, with something, a month or so ago or a couple months ago, where, he was involved with some, illegal gambling practices as well. So, this stuff has been happening time after time, and not everybody get caught. So it's just really unfortunate that, especially with the Portland Trailblazers, like, Chauncey Billups, man, like he's a coach, right? He's a coach. And so he's a head coach of an NBA team. And so they have an interim coach, but now they have to try to make it, 80 something games, like, or whatnot, 81 games, this season. And so that's crazy with all this going on with the team, with the head coaching situation. So it makes you think the mindset of an individual, right? The mindset of an individual. And, but I don't know if you guys follow Jay Williams, right? Jay Williams, he was a basketball player for Duke, point guard, and he went to the NBA for a short stint, but then he got into a car accident and shattered his leg. You should follow him because now he's giving out advice and he want to educate athletes, and he's educating them, on their finances and whatnot. And what I've learned is that not everybody is educated as it pertains to their finances, turn into a millionaire overnight. And so, but a lot of them don't even know how to write a check, right? And so it's a lot. So, which means that they get that money and then, they have bad financial practices. And then before you know it, their career is over. And then they have nothing to show for it. And they blew the money, or the situation is that now they're in a different financial bracket, a different tax bracket, and which means that they're living a more of a elaborate, expensive life. And so that money has to keep coming, right? Because you can easily blow, $1 million easily. And so, so that money has to keep coming. And so, but it makes you wonder though, like, is there a gap with, educating athletes about, or educating our youth in general about finances? And so, but because it makes you wonder, like, man, like how much money do you need? Because Chauncey Billups is a head coach, and that's a good paying job, right? Terry Rozier, he's actually playing in the NBA right now. And I heard that, he actually got arrested, but I hear once he put his $6 million property up for sale or whatnot, or up for collateral, I should say, then he'll be able to get out. And so these guys are playing with big money. But once again, it's never enough. You know what I'm saying? My mom told me, she said, son, don't chase the money. She said, because the more money you make, the more money you spend. And obviously, it's a situation like this. Some of us are probably thinking like, man, if we had half these guys' salary, what we would do. But the reality of it is that we're not in their shoes. And so, but man, when stuff like this happens, it's just, and then it makes you also think too, like those times where you said, man, the NBA is rigged or the NFL is rigged, when you thought about that, right? And when it seemed like it played out that way, right? When you look at certain outcomes of the game, it makes you wonder. And then you had Donahue happen, which was the referee, and so he was, fixing the games or whatnot based upon how he was calling the games, but he wasn't the only one that was doing it though. So, and we don't know how deeply rooted that practice was. Same thing with the betting things, right? Same things with the players that are getting caught now. We don't really know how deeply rooted it is. So, but it's just it's just insane, man. It's just really insane. So, but it makes you think about that stuff. Like, man, is this stuff even real? Like, how can it play out like that? And who knows? A lot of these people probably were making a lot of money off of that stuff. We just never know, So I wanted to talk about that. So until next time, stay with me. Make sure that you subscribe. Go check out the book as well. But make sure you subscribe to the channel. I really appreciate you stopping by.